Hari Om.
Good evening to all and welcome back for the last session and the final session of our Kindle Life book. Together, all of us, with the grace of Gurudev and due to our rich cultural heritage, our Vedas, our Shastra, our knowledge, that we have completed these reading sessions. I hope on this journey of ours together that you have enjoyed, you have gained, that we have given and we have even got more than what we gave. Clarity, peace, some solace, and a path to go ahead other than the knowledge that we have got. So all of these factors have contributed towards the total reading session. Finally, I also want to tell you all that whatever good that you have got and gained from these sessions are due to Gurudev's grace and the knowledge of our country. I have made many mistakes during the session, and kindly excuse us, forgive us for these mistakes. We will try to improve. Please stay in touch, not with us, but with the knowledge of Kindle Life. And here we are on the very final step of reading the rest of the Kindle Life. So let us begin this session also with prayers as usual.
And today we will sing the entire Guru Parampara mantra. Sada Shiva Samarambha Shankaracharya Madhyama Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Puranana Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatrupatamaham Vande Paramanandamadhavam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahabhiryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Tomorrow is 15 August, our Independence Day, Swatantra Divas. We wish you all a very, very prosperous, happy, peaceful and spiritual Independence Day. Speaking of Kindle Life, Gurudev has given us a lot of practical application techniques by using which we could, in our day-to-day life, in our workplace, in the place of our business, we can really gain a lot of benefits if we use those techniques as Gurudev has said. But the real meaning behind those techniques The reason why Gurudev opened his heart and gave us this knowledge is not merely so that we accumulate the world even more. It is so that it is used as the key to unlock that heart of yours, of ours, so that we reach to our spiritual renaissance, so that the question rises in us, who am I? And following that question, following the path that Gurudev has shown us, we reach to the answer to self-knowledge. May I please request all of you, what my Rashi wife has just now said, that please continue reading, be in touch with Shastra. The more we are in touch with Shastra, the closer we are to the self. Shall we read further?
Let us continue the final part of Kindle Life. Chapter number 31. You, me and God. This is a dialogue between a visitor to the Sandipani ashram and Param Pujya Swamiji during a session with devotees. Sandipani ashram is the same place where me and Jagdish have also studied, and we are very proud of it. Swamiji, I don't believe in God. It was a young man, modern, tight pants, a tobacco pipe stuck at his waist, trim, thin moustache. He spoke English with an Americanized drawl. He spoke and was evidently one of our university products, with higher education abroad, sophisticated to the point of his pointed toes. Swamiji beamed. Excellent. With a broad, welcoming smile, nodding his head slowly, Swamiji continued. That's fine. I like you. You are the man I have been waiting to meet. I like your outspokenness. You are intelligent and you think independently. You have the courage to speak out your conviction, straight from your shoulder, as they say. Now come, what kind of a God is that you don't believe in? The young man who had made this statement about his non-believing, with a little hesitation, probably at his own audacity, at denying God before a God-man, was pleasantly surprised at Swamiji's cordial tone and benign smile. And feeling encouraged, went on. This God who sits above the clouds and judges men and dispenses favors and punishments by remote control at his own sweet will, don't you think, Swamiji, it's all hocus pocus? Swamiji laughed. Shake hands, young man. I am entirely with you. Now we are two together. I too don't believe in that kind of God. But, did you have your breakfast before coming?
Yes, Swamiji. Well, what did you have for breakfast? The usual things: porridge, toast, scrambled eggs, coffee. Eggs, that's nice. Eggs. Now, where did the egg come from? Ram, that's your name, isn't it? Ram, with his brows raised, feeling that Swamiji was leading up to something, said, I don't exactly know, probably from one of those new poultry farms near Pune. Swamiji, I don't mean that. How are eggs made? Do you grow them in field or are they made in factories? Simple. I think you are pulling my leg, but all the same I'll answer you. Hens, of course. Hens lay eggs, you know, Ram said with an air of flippancy, nodding his head up and down thoroughly, thoughtfully. Swamiji continued, I see. So the eggs come from hens. Now where do the hens come from?
Ram, an intelligent man, could see the trap he was being led into. He started saying, of course from, then wide-eyed looked at Swamiji silently. Swamiji smiled. So eggs come from hens, and hens from the eggs, which again come from other hens, and so on. ad infinitum, can you, Ram, say with any certainty which was the first cause, egg or hen? How and why? Swamiji now addressed all the devotees present and went on. You see, God is not just a person or individual sitting in a palace above the clouds dispensing favors. It stands to reason that every effect must have had a cause prior to it. The watch that you are wearing did not make itself. Your breakfast did not cook itself. There was a cause in each case.
That cause must have emerged from previous cause. God is now the very first cause, the sole cause, the uncaused cause. There was no cause before him. He is the oldest, the most ancient. He was before time, the Sanatana, the Purana. This causation hunting is the favorite pastime of the evolving human intellect, trying to trace everything to its ultimate origin. You all will clearly remember that in the entire chapters that we were reading, causation, who am I, is the prerogative of the human intellect alone.
Yeah, even till recently we have heard, especially in Switzerland, scientists are trying to find out the God particle, the boson, and so on and so on. The quest to find out where we have come from is so keen in the mind of human beings.
That which is beyond the point at which the intellect gets stalled is God. That which is beyond. Desha kala vastu aparichinna vastu. The intellect cannot come to a conclusion as to the ultimate cause as the age-old example of the hen and the egg. Thus far, no further is the limitation of the capacity of this human intellect. Ram was flushed with excitement. He was thrilled. In a fluttering voice, he asked, There does seem to be something in what you say, Swamiji. Am I to understand that that is God? That which you now speak of as God, my boy, the Muslims call Allah. The Christian refer to him as my Father in heaven. The Parsees worship him as Ahura Mazda. These are a few of the different ways in which he or it is referred to, but all are referring to the same supreme principle, the cause behind all causes. This is the most important aspect that we all must pick from this book, Kindle Life. What is the cause behind all causes? As intelligent, modern, educated human beings, we must try to find out the cause from where all of us have come.
Everything will lead to this particular cause, which is known as God or God principle, and this cause does not have any cause. It is by itself from where everything began, and that is God.
The source of all that was, now is, and ever will be. The Vedas refer to it as Brahman, the absolute, the infinite. The truth is one. The wise speak of it variously. Rajshri, will you read that?
Yeah.
Ekam sat, Vipra, Bhaudha, Vadanti. If you all remember, our Shri Prime Minister Narendra Modi Ji said this same statement right in the UN, and he said that this is a fact, that the same truth have been spoken by many intelligent people. What it signifies is that the same truth is underlining everyone. That is the sign that we should be one, united as one family. And then the Prime Minister went to say as Vasudeva Kutumbakam, that this entire earth, according to our Vedas, according to Sri Krishna, is only one family.
So these are the marvelous beliefs and principles of our culture which have risen from this country.
But the wise, beg your pardon, but Swamiji, the description does not seem to be complete. Is that all that God is? How can one come to know Him? There you see a modern man who was not believing in God 5 minutes ago. It just took 5 minutes for an intelligent thinking man who wants to know. For somebody who just wants to argue and say, no, no, there is nothing, for him the whole life, 10 lives, 100 lives are not enough. But for a person who has this curiosity to know, it comes there. Now he is asking, so is that all about God? This is curiosity, isn't it, Rashmi?
Of course.
Now, you are really getting somewhere. I have not described God. He cannot be described. To define Him is to defile Him. These are some marvelous words Gurudev has given. To define God is to defile Him. We can't describe what God is, because God is something which is beyond our intellect. What I pointed out only constitutes one way, one manner of approaching the truth. It is just one aspect. Now, your second question, how can one come to know Him? Know Him? He cannot be known as you know this table or this chair or your wife or your pipe. He is not an object of the intellect. He is the very subject. Have you heard of the great disciple of the Keno Upanishad who approached the master and inquired, Revered Sir, what is it? Directed by which the mind cognizes objects, the eyes see, the ears hear, and so on. The master cryptically replied, answered, it is the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind. In fact, it is the very subject that enables the eye to see, the ears to hear, etc. It is not an object of the senses or the mind or the intellect. It is not.
Have you ever thought of this? That our eyes are able to see, our ears can hear, our nose can smell. But just imagine for a moment, I remove my eye and keep it to the side. Now we have said that the eye can see. So when it is out of me, away from the side, it should be able to see. So it doesn't, obviously. So what is that makes that eye see? What is that makes the ear hear? So that principle which runs through each and everything, which is the cause of everything to function, that principle is Brahman.
In our book, KINDLE Life, there was example given that even if your eyes were open and your very jolly good bosom friend comes in front and goes, your eyes will not see until your mind is focused behind the eyes. If your mind thoughts are somewhere, the eyes are useless.
Hence, to answer your question, I have to tell you that you cannot make God an object of knowledge. An example will elucidate the idea. You are walking along a dark country road at night, occasionally illuminating your path with the aid of a battery torch. You want to know how the torch gives light. You unscrew the torch, you will not be able to see the battery cells, as the torch cells cannot give light unless powered by the battery of cells. Over here, that one word is wrong. Instead of the battery the second time, it's supposed to be torch. So I shall read that once again. You want to know how the torch gives light. You unscrew the torch, you will not be able to see the battery cells, as the torch cells cannot give light unless powered by the battery of cells. Similarly, the eyes, the ears, the mind and the intellect, all of which get their own power to function from the life principle, cannot understand it as an object. God is thus conceived as the life principle in everyone.
The life principle, the life-giving principle to this finger to move, for this mouth to open, for the tongue to speak, for the nose to smell, for the eyes to see, for the skin to feel.
The very cause of existence itself.
It is one same, but so many equipments who have their functions differently, they function so beautifully only under the guidance and the power of that consciousness, that self.
The audience.
The audience sat spellbound, just like I am right now, listening to this exposition of a difficult Vedantic truth in an easy, lucid style. Then Swamiji, you say that God or truth is something abstract and cannot be seen or heard or touched or even thought of. Am I right? The intelligent man is now deducting from Gurudev's speech. You are very much right. In fact, God is all this and much more. The Bhagavad Gita says, weapon cleave it not, fire burns it not, water wets it not, wind dries it not. This self cannot be cut, nor burnt, nor wetted, nor dried. It is not material, it is not matter. Understand.
This is a beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita which can be easily understood in Hindi.
It says so beautifully in Hindi. It is speaking of the Atma. काट सके न उसे शस्त्र, अग्नि भी न जला सके, न भिगो सके उसे पानी, वायु भी न सुखा सके. जो झिरता टूटता नहीं, भीगता सूखता नहीं, आत्मा नित्य है अविनाशी, शरीर की मृत्यु से भी ना मरे.
So this is, that's how many different words have been used to explain what we are trying to understand. Sanatan, Purana, Brahman, self,
The truth,
God,
the eternal,
truth, all of it.
the supreme life principle is also the self in us. Because the young man asks a question, why did you use self, the word self? Gurudev said, the supreme, the life principle is also the self in you. This is the highest truth that any great master, self-realized master can confidently say this. That the life in you, the truth in you, the God in you is the same which is in me and which is same everywhere. This is Advaita Vedanta. This is the unison. It is the innermost core of your personality. The popular misconception is that man is body with soul. That is not correct. The truth is man is the soul in a body. Look at it and feel, understand the magnitude of the statement. We always say, मेरा हाथ दुख रहा है, मेरा सर अब बहुत जोर से चल रहा है और मेरी आत्मा को तुमने दुखा दिया. These are statements we make in our day-to-day life. Atma, the self, is that which is universal. It cannot be cut, it cannot be burned.
Our identity has always been with the body.
Just like we feel our hand can pain, our Atma can pain.
And here Gurudev is correcting us and telling us that this is very wrong. It is not that our soul is in our body, but it is our soul which is our identity and which is surrounded by a body.
By the body. Remember the Panchakosha Mahakosha?
Earlier on we have done all of this, and we have also understood that you have to think of your body and the koshas as though they were clothing which you can remove and discard. That is not you. It is just to be dropped to wear something else.
It is like the covering in which the sword is kept, the sheath, the 5 sheaths. I am that. That is not correct. The truth is, man is the soul in the body. He is eternal. The role of the body is likened to a worn out garment that is discarded by the wearer at his will. Now, the other members of the audience who had been listening with awe and reverence took the opportunity to clear their doubts also. So some others also spoke. Swamiji, if God cannot be seen or thought of, is an abstraction is there any significance in idol worshipping? How many of us feel, what is the use of going to the temple? Why should we have a god at home? What is the point? They are very much Hindus. For all practical reasons, they are Hindus.
And even the curiosity of other religion people, as why Hindu worship so many idols and gods? What is there behind so many 33 crore Devi Devta? What does that mean?
There are some religions who call it blasphemy.
Which of course is ignorance.
Even within our own Hindus, there are so many beliefs. They feel, no, Murti Puja is not good. You should never do.
And Gurudev very nicely explains to us what is said in the Shastra as to why we have idols.
Will you?
Of course, there is a lot of significance. When your dear son is in America, you cannot see him whenever you want. Do you or do you not get solace by looking at his photograph? You do know that the photo is not your son, but only a piece of paper with various tones of green. But it reminds you of your beloved boy and his great love for you. So also the idols in the temples are to remind the devotees of the ideal, the supreme. Since the human mind cannot conceive of a formless supreme God, God is conceived of in form as represented by an idol. This is the truth behind what is an idol. The idol by itself is not important. We have seen on the roads in our villages also, simply a stone is picked up, colored orange, and then worshipped.
You bow your head to it.
Why is that? That is because now you are looking at that colored stone as a representation of God. It is your mind, your intellect, your soul, your very spirit from inside, which is trying to connect with the spirit which is everywhere surrounding you.
And this is the cornerstone of Hinduism. Hinduism sees equal eye for everything, right from stones to plants to birds to animals to human beings to the gods and Devi Devta. Everything is nothing but one. So, the same way as we respect some human being who has got great deeds, the same way we can just pick up a stone, color it red, bow, and you can transfer your faith into that.
It has been explained to us earlier, just now, that God is something which is beyond understanding. It is not something which you can see, conceive, perceive, or touch, or some. It's not an object. It's not an object whereby you can gain knowledge. It is the very subject. It is that cause which has no cause. How to understand all these things? Then I have seen certain people of some other religions also who have not understood this at all. And then they go crazy. And they do silly things in the name of religion and God. This should not happen to an ordinary person.
Where is our country? Country starts from one corner to another corner. How should I represent my country? The brilliant people of India came up like thousands of other country people came with a tiranga, orange, white and green with a chakra in the center. Don't you and me, when we see the tiranga, we feel the national pride? Is tiranga not our pride?
It is a form also.
It's a form.
When that form comes up in front of you, what do? You bow your head, you salute your nation.
You salute your nation.
Say Vande Mataram to your nation. And this is exactly what an idol in a temple also represents. The recognition that you have to give to that supreme, to that which is the very cause of your existence. Of course, for all of this, you have to have Shraddha, the faith, and the wanting to know. If you are none of those, then it doesn't matter anyways.
We will request for extra time today because we have to complete this lesson today, the chapter today, and then
Please remember it is our last session, so we are
continuing
at
ahead.
a good pace.
Will you?
Yeah. So also the idols in the temples are to remind the devotees of the ideal, the supreme. Since the human mind cannot conceive of a formless supreme, God is conceived of in form as represented by an idol. To the earnest devotee, the idol appears as a living embodiment of his Lord, and he goes into ecstasy at its sight. It is, however, necessary to remember that the idol is not God, but represents God.
So my flag is not the country, but it represents my country.
Yeah, when a doot goes to a king's court, he is not the king, but he's representing his.
When I go to the UN, there are hundreds of flags. Only when I see my Tiranga, I feel yes, my country. Don't you feel that way?
Yeah, of course.
This is the requirement of idol worship, or for that matter, word. In Hinduism, we have not only idol worship, but we Om, the sound symbol.
Why is it, Swamiji, that as in Christianity or Islam, a particular day of the week is not earmarked in Hinduism for temple worship? So these are pertinent questions which have been asked.
At this question, Swamiji drew himself up, straightened and roared at the top of his voice. Hinduism is not a part-time job. He then explained at length that the aspirations to associate with divinity cannot be restricted to any particular time. Have you heard of a schoolboy who said that earth is flat on Sunday and
is round
on Sunday and flat on other days? It would be silly, isn't it? So also a man cannot be made to be divine on Sunday and devilish on the other days. It cannot be. Then under his breath he says, maybe most of us are that way. Can we ever choose, okay, tomorrow is Sunday, so tomorrow I am going to be very, very divine. Whatever happens, I will be divine. Rest of the 6 days, I can do whatever it is required.
True, it's not possible. You can't do that. So constant practice, frequent association with the good, etc. are needed. The temple visits and the worship should elevate the mind of the seeker and help him to keep his mind on a higher plane. He should also take steps to continue the purification of mind at all times of the day, at home, in the office and at the marketplace. What is a pure mind, Swamiji?
A pure mind is one which is calm, free from agitations. Once again, going back to Kindle Life, we have read and we have understood so much about what a calm mind, a pure mind is. Agitations are caused mainly by our likes and dislikes and desires. Desires spell disaster, fulfilled or frustrated. Mahatma Gandhi was very fond of the Sthita Prajna portion of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in which the causes and consequences of desires are most graphically described. This is the ladder of fall. Gurudev goes on to explain the ladder of fall, which
Two
is...
things I want to say
please.
before. First is, we have already seen, and as a reminder, that what is happiness? A tranquil mind is the measure of happiness. So this is where it is related to. And when does the mind not be happy? When it is in an agitated state. And what causes these agitations? It is the desires which cause these agitations.
And desires are nothing but likes and dislikes.
Yeah, so almost you will, if you just take a moment and see your lives keenly, it is ruled by likes and dislikes. Everything that you do is because you like something or you don't like something. You like someone or you don't like someone. So this is what your life is, and you have to get over that.
When a man thinks of objects, attachment for them arises. This is the ladder of fall. When a man thinks of objects, attachments for them arises. From attachment, desire is born. From desire, unfulfilled, arises anger. From anger comes delusion. From delusion, loss of memory. From loss of memory, the destruction of discrimination. From destruction of discrimination, he perishes.
When you come to a state where you can no longer understand what is good or bad, what is right or wrong, so your ability to discriminate is completely gone. That, of course, is your destruction.
Swamiji added, the Lord also points out that the three great entrances to hell are lust, anger and greed. Lust, anger and greed.
Kam, krodha, moha.
One in the audience asked, I have read a good deal, Swamiji. I also have convictions. Yet, to put these values in practice is my problem. Swamiji says, this was exactly Arjuna's problem. The Lord advised him, recognize your real enemies. They are desires and anger, born of passionate nature, all devouring and sinful. Knowing your enemies will enable you to destroy them. Knowing your weaknesses, you will make efforts to discard them. Once you locate a dead rat in your wardrobe that was emitting odor, you will promptly pick it up by the tail and throw it as far away as possible. Is it or is it not? But still, Rajshri, in this world we see people, they know that cigarette smoking is bad, but still they'll hide it from their wife and they'll smoke. They know that there is no point in lying to your seniors or bosses, because as soon as you start working, they'll come to know, oh, so this guy was just faking. But still, just like the dead rat in the wardrobe, which we want to throw immediately, these dead rats we keep inside. Gurudev is suggesting not to do that. Our Shastras have laid down a clear-cut procedure. The threefold practice consists of Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. I am very sure that all of us remember this very, very clearly. Shravana, that studying by listening. Manana, what you have listened, what you have heard, which you have kept it in your mind, should churn. You should have discussion on it in your mind and with friends of the same type. And finally, whatever you have understood should be brought into your complete action by meditating, and then when it becomes your own, you should use it in life. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Hearing is not in one ear, out through the other. It is active listening.
Attentive listening.
It is attentive listening to discourses on our great scriptures, including reading them, contemplating on the ideas contained therein, and lastly, meditation. Many people come and tell me that they have gone through the Gita many times. I tell them, let the Gita go through you once at least. It will do you more good. So what Gurudev is saying is, how much every time you may have read Gita? Somebody must have read Gita like a parrot. He may not only know Gita from chapter number 1, verse number 1 to chapter 18 and 700 verse and reverse. Gurudev says that let Gita go through you, meaning start following what Gita says in your life.
You will really come across a lot many people who will tell you, we have read so much, we have done so much, and all of this. But are they really following the path of the scriptures? That is a different question.
Not just hearing or reading, but absorption of the great ideas contained therein. Assimilating them and living those values will alone produce radiance in the life of an individual. Proper understanding and correct attitudes are important. For example, we often meet the allegation that Hinduism is an out-of-the-world religion meant only for recluse. Means it is only for sannyasis or those people who want to just leave everyone and go away from the society and stay in some hermitage or a Himalayan cave. The spirit of Hinduism is not understood by those who say this. Wealth is not a taboo for the seeker, but the constant craving for wealth is. Property is not prohibited, but one is enjoyed to use it in the service of society. It's a very, very beautiful way of understanding. It is not that we have to stop our work and only do Hey Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram. No. That you have to do so that you become purer inside, so that your mind gets focused, so that your calm mind can work in the world outside beautifully, and like the farmer, when you come back home, you rejoice. The Vedantic concept of renunciation has nothing to do with have or have not in a physical sense. It means the attitude of non-attachment. Vairagya. Rag means attachment. Vairagya means non-attachment to whatever that there is. It does not mean not to possess them. The classical example in our ancient lore is that of an emperor Janaka, living in the luxury of palace, but still considered as such a great saint and the sage that great aspirant went to him for guidance. Who was Janaka Raja?
We all know.
The father of Sita Ma. Janaka was such a saintly king, though in the midst of all the luxuries. Still, he was saintly and he was to the ground. If you ask me how to start, my answer is just start. When? Now. Today is the best day. A better day will not come. These are truthful statements which Gurudev has made. For any person who wishes to embark on the journey of the knowledge of the scriptures to begin with, so that his knowledge becomes better, and then slowly turn the knowledge into devotion, and from devotion the true knowledge rises of what we are, who we are. The great master who lived and worked for the cause of religion in India, Adi Shankara, has laid down the prescription here. Rajshri, Gurudev is not only talking about what to do, but he is now telling us how to do. Bhagavad Gita and Vishnu Sahasranam are to be chanted. Always the form of the Lord of Lakshmi is to be meditated upon. The mind is to be led towards the company of the good. Wealth is to be shared with the needy. This is such a beautiful statement from Bhaj Govinda. That Bhagavad Gita and Vishnu Sahasranam. We all know what is Bhagavad Gita, and many of us may be knowing Vishnu Sahasranam. Vishnu Sahasranam, Sahasra means 1,000 names of Vishnu Bhagwan. What happens by taking so many names? Each and every name has got a deep-rooted implication and meaning.
It's actually a quality that one has to take from.
And this was first given by Bhishmacharya, by Pitamaha Bhishma, where at the Shayya of arrows, at the bed of arrows, when he was at his point where he wanted to see everyone of the Kuru clan living and happy, and he was still alive, at that time Yudhishthira went with Krishna's advice to Bhishma Pitamaha and asked, what is that one thing that you would want to share with us? And that is the time Vishnu Sahasranam was given out by Pitamaha Mahavishnu. To be chanted. Always the form of Lord of Lakshmi. Lord of Lakshmi, who Rashmi?
Narayan.
Vishnu Bhagavan. Have that God of all gods in your mind. Whenever you have time, close your eyes for some time. Give the ears, nose, eyes, your entire senses some time and go within. Remember the way how Gurudev had asked us to do our Japamala? Right from the feet to the body to the glowing face.
We have also done the macrocosm, microcosm, the God principles, the three gods that have come from there. And all of this we have studied, so do keep revising.
He also said, let the mind be led to men who are godly, means to the company of godly men, yani satsang. Satsang has got so much of importance. Sat, sang. The two words, sat means truth. Sang means to be with the truth. It not necessarily means you go to some place and sit with somebody where somebody is speaking. Taking a book, a scriptural book and reading is satsang.
Be in the company of good people.
Take the mala and japa, the name of Bhagwan, is satsanga.
Wealth is to be shared with the needy. That also is said, that don't accumulate.
And
do
the
share what you have.
highest truth of remaining light in your heart is sharing. Sharing not only that which is not useful. My ironing board has become bad. So I'm buying a new one, so I'm sharing my old item. That is no sharing. That is no sharing. Sharing means something that you can use, you give it to somebody else so that he can use and he can be happy while you have the strength and ability given by Bhagwan to earn more and get it further. Give, give, give so much that it hurts. Why? Because look around us. The sun is giving from time immemorial. The wind is blowing. Water is flowing. Earth is growing. We are getting everything free all the time.
What is necessary for us for life has already been given to us.
This is the truth behind that. This is the truth behind that last statement. Wealth is to be shared with the needy. And where will we get needy? More than today's time. The whole world requires. So do not just hold on. Let it pass. Even if you hold Ganga Jal in a bottle in your house, for years it will get stagnated. But till the time Ganga is flowing, it is Amrita.
When do I start it?
Now. Please.
Now, many people wait for their retirement to take to religion. They will never take to it because they will have new problems on the way. Yes, we will always have an excuse for something so that we don't do it. But Gurudev also has said that when you have to start on the path of spirituality, today is the best day. A better day will not come. So this was the end of our chapter number 31.
Finally,
we have a very small last chapter of 2 pages. What to do? Swamiji's tips for effective study. Now we've been saying that you should study, you should walk on the path. How?
When you have your books, Gurudev has given a list of books behind.
When all of you who have books will know about it.
Even in the soft copy.
Yes.
When you have the books, Vedanta, a science, and so it must be studied in a scientific way.
Systematic way.
And a systematic way. Start reading Kindle Life. Even here, don't try to read through. It is not a novel or something of semi-heavy reading. These are books for the students to reflect upon, all by themselves. So don't read more than 5 to 10 pages a day. Now you will realize why we were going so slow. Today is the 41st day actually.
Yes.
41st day. Otherwise this thick book we can finish in one day. But it is not just reading. It is absorption. Read slowly, carefully noting all the ideas developed therein. This may take 20 to 30 minutes, and always take it a point to read your scriptures after your morning bath, before breakfast and work. Gurudev has given a time also. Because that is the time when we are least busy and our mind is more sattvic. As the day progresses, as we have already studied, the rajas and tamas get in the mind.
We have not jumped into the world yet. So give yourself a little bit of time and do this. Half an hour.
Wake a half an hour earlier. Make time for this. Because this is important for us in life. As you read, thus, a lot of tiny doubts will arise in your mind. Sometimes you may question the very logic of certain conclusions in what you read. Please note them down in a notebook. Keep separate for this purpose. Clearly express your doubts. After having recorded your doubts, forget them and continue reading your daily quota of pages. Once again, now you'll understand why we used to have only Saturday as our discussion and doubt clearing, not every day. On the following Sunday or any holiday, when you have some spare time, please take up the notebook and a pencil in hand. Start reading your own doubts collected during the week. You will find surprisingly that you can check off many of the doubts because you have the answers already with you. The week's reading has widened your vision. And this fact, Rashmi, how many people told us, isn't it? On Saturday they said, oh yeah, the question we had sent, but we already got the answer.
As you read on, as you walk on in the path, many of your questions will automatically be answered.
Your vision is widened. Maybe there are some questions to which you have not yet got the answer. Leave them alone. From Monday, continue the regular program of daily study, recording all doubts whenever they arise in your bosom. Repeat, checking up all the backlogs of unanswered doubts. By the time you come to the end of the book, you will find your questions are answered. If there are any unanswered, the next book will clear it. How clearly Gurudev is saying that Kindle life is not the end of knowledge.
Just the beginning, the first step.
It is the first step. Go slow. There is no hurry. Your independent thinking is of utmost importance. Don't blindly believe. Question every statement. Accept no action greater than your own understanding. Then alone we can enter into the science of Vedanta. Then alone our knowledge can enter us. Rashmi, what do you mean by this sentence? Do not blindly believe and no action is greater than your own understanding?
Vedanta and scriptures are not of blind belief. It is not something that you just follow because somebody has told you. It is a logic, it is a science, and you have to study it as you study any other subject. So it has to be done systematically and regularly.
When you have finished revising Kindle life, at its end there is a scheme of study recommended. Follow the series as suggested and read each book carefully and slowly in small doses. It is 2-3 years study of half an hour a day. Try. You can, you must. Swami Chinmayananda. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadguruve Namaha.
One final message of Pujya Guruji, Pujya Gurudev, and we will end our session over there. But I want to leave you with this message which is incredibly beautiful. Pujya Swami Chinmayananda Ji's message. Decide what you want. If you demand but a life of money and power, of sense pleasures and fleeting joys, seek not God and His help. Sweat, toil, strive and achieve. But if you demand a life of peace and love, of self-control and pure bliss, seek Him and His grace through study, prayer and meditation. That's it. This is Gurudev's message for all of us. We once again thank you for being with us. Kindly forgive us our mistakes. Kindly remember to go and read and study and follow this path. And let us finish this beautiful session with
a
prayer.
thanksgiving prayer. We cannot thank Gurudev enough. We also would like to thank Pujya Swamiji, our Guruji, Swami Tejomayan Ji, for his love and his blessings. We would also like to thank Pujya Mukhya Swamiji now, Swami Swarupanand Ji, for all the guidance that he is giving us. And we cannot forget the great job that Central Chinmaya Mission Trust is doing in literally taking this knowledge to every single house. This is the most important knowledge which is required for today's world.
To build our nation, for a renaissance of Hindu culture, Hindu knowledge. Hindu knowledge, why? Because it is a knowledge for humanity. It is not only there for a small group of people or just for Indians or just for Hindus. It embraces the whole of humanity. Very important work is being done by Chinmaya Mission. We appeal to you that if possible, kindly send some donations to the other addresses that we have given and help to further this cause of our nation. So finally, let us say a prayer.
Om Asito Ma Satgamaya तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
Hari Om everyone.
Hari Om to everyone. Hari Om Rashmi.
Jai Hind.
Yes. Jai Hind. जय विश्व शांतिकारिण जय पंचशील चारिण जय धर्म चक्रवर्तिन जय लोक राजधारिण जय विश्व शांतिकारिण जय पंचशील चारिण जय धर्म चक्रवर्तिन जय लोक राजधारिण जय हिंद है भूनंद है नमस्ते नमस्ते। बोलिए भारत माता की जय।